Hello and welcome back to the Distressed Princess. Today I'm starting my fall crafting and I have some Kirkland's dupes that I'm so excited to share with you today. First thing I saw on their website that I knew would be an easy dupe was this black galvanized metal milk can. Their price was $25.49, but we're going to make it for a fraction of that cost. First, you'll need to make a Walmart run and pick up this metal milk can. It was $7.88 at my store. And while you're there at Walmart, go ahead and pick up these two paints in the craft department. They are metallic. So there is a black one and a silver one, and it's going to give us that black metallic galvanized look that we're going for. I started out with one coat of the metallic black paint and saw that it was just a little too thin for me, so I went ahead and did a second coat of the black metallic paint. Then using a foam brush, I used the pouncing technique with the silver paint over the top of the black paint, which is dry by the way, and I sort of did a mixture. I had a little bit of black paint in my bowl and a little bit of silver paint in my bowl, and I just dipped my brush in both of them and pounced it all over the milk can until it gave the effect that I wanted. And here's how it was looking with just the bottom part painted. Then I went online to trusty Google and I searched up some maple leaf templates. I printed them out. I'm going to cut them out and use them to trace around onto my milk jug. To do the tracing, I'm using a white metallic marker from the Dollar Tree. And I didn't want to mess up my paint job on the milk can by using any kind of adhesive, so I'm just holding that leaf template down in place while I trace around it. I did two leaves and put the smaller one up in the corner. I used some maple leaf pictures online to reference and draw the veins on the leaves. And that was nice, but I just really didn't feel like that white marker was popping enough, like it wasn't a bright enough white for me. So then I decided to grab my white paint pen and I just drew over my tracing, and then it looked like a brighter white. When I saw this leather decoration, that made me think of the faux leather that you can get at the Dollar Tree, and I thought maybe we could recreate it. They wanted $15.29, which I guess isn't too bad a price, but we can do it cheaper. The main ingredients you'll need to recreate this are 3 of these wooden pieces from the Dollar Tree and some faux leather. Now, if you have a decent sized wooden block that you can work with, you wouldn't have to buy the 3 wooden pieces from Dollar Tree. You'll need to measure and find out the width of your wooden piece, which I was going to go with 10 inches. That's what size my image is going to be. The actual width of the wooden pieces is longer, but I don't want it to go completely right over to the edges. So now I'm going to cut my leather piece to fit. The next step is going to blow your mind. We're going to attach this leather piece to a regular sheet of printer paper. We're going to tape it using regular Scotch tape. I didn't want to take any chances of this getting stuck on my printer, so I taped down around all the edges, and I even folded the tape over to the back side of the paper to make sure that it was not going to come loose from the paper while it's going through my printer. Here is the design that I made. I will try to link it in my description box below, and I printed it using just black and white. And I was shocked how well this actually worked. It went through my printer without a trouble won, and the image came out flawless. The ink will be wet, so you'll need to be very careful. Set it aside and let the ink completely dry before you mess with it any further. Back to the wooden pieces, you'll need to remove the labels because you're going to be working on the actual back side of those pieces. And mine were in a little bit of rough condition, so I gave a quick sand around the edges of them. And I made sure to wipe the dust off. To attach the 3 pieces together, I'm just going to use some wood glue. This is some super glue wood glue that you can get at the Dollar Tree, and it truly is my absolute favorite. After I got the 3 pieces glued together, I set it aside to dry for at least 30 minutes before I went back to work on it. I took my paper off of my leather piece, and then I cut the leather piece down to size to fit just how I wanted it to on my wooden pieces. Our inspiration picture had rounded edges on the leather piece, so I'm cutting the corners off of mine too. This would be okay, and as a matter of fact, this is pretty much what the Kirkland's picture looked like, but I decided I wanted to take it a little step further and add another element to mine, and that is these rub-on transfers that you can get at Dollar Tree to make it look like a lighter weathered color would. And I think that looks a lot better for my liking. But before we go attaching anything, we need to deal with the back side of this, which still has the original Dollar Tree print on it. So I'm just going to cover that up with some brown craft paper. To attach the leather piece, at first I made a mistake and went to use hot glue. I want to show you this mistake so that you don't make it too. When I put the hot glue onto the faux leather and stuck it down to the wooden piece, then it made like a line. Like you could see exactly through that leather where the hot glue was. It kind of bumped up, and I didn't like that. So I peeled it back up, I removed the hot glue from the faux leather, and went to plan B. And plan B was wood glue, and I made sure to use a foam brush to smear it all over the back of the faux leather so that it definitely wouldn't be seen through the front side. There's one last thing to add to this project to make it look like the Kirkland's version, and that is the little brads that you put in the corners. Now these came from Michael's. I bought them quite a while ago. I really cannot remember what the price was, but they must have been cheap because you know I'm cheap. So I cut off the metal brad pieces from the back with my wire cutters, and then I used hot glue to put them down into the corners. This year, these fuzzy, cute little pumpkins are so on trend, but oh my goodness, they wanted $16.99 for this 4.5-inch pumpkin. And guess what? Dollar Tree has out for fall the perfect yarn to recreate your own. I'm not kidding. These yarns are so fuzzy soft that you'll want to knit yourself a sweater. So pick up any color of these yarns that you want. I bought them all, and you'll also need one of Dollar Tree's foam pumpkins. This project is just as easy as you can imagine. Remove the tag from the pumpkin, pull the stem out of the pumpkin, and then just start wrapping that pumpkin with your yarn and hot glue it down in places where it wants to slip. And it may take a little bit of time, but trust me, it's worth it in the end. After you've got your pumpkin completely covered with the yarn, then you'll add the jute string detail, which goes just in the grooves that are naturally in the pumpkin, and you can hot glue that down in place as well. Then hot glue your stem back to the top and it's all finished. Now over at the Kirklands, they also have these really cute bowl filler pumpkins, but they want $12.74 for 5 little pumpkins. Well, it just so happens I have a whole mess of little pumpkins, and they came off of the Dollar Tree maple leaf stems. So what we're gonna do is just wrap them up with that pretty yarn, same as we did the bigger pumpkin. For the stems, I just cut off the very end pieces of some floral stems, which was the maple leaf, the same ones that the pumpkins came off of. I just cut the very ends of them off, and I'm going to poke a hole in the top of each one of the little pumpkins and put that stem right into the top. And here's a little bonus DIY. The picture of the tiny pumpkins on Kirkland's, they were pictured in a bowl. The bowl didn't come with them, but they were pictured in a little wooden bowl, and I don't know if Kirkland's sells that little wooden bowl or not, but I don't see any reason why we can't make it. I have a wooden bowl. It's green, so I'm gonna paint it back to look like wood, but I don't see any reason why you couldn't get a plastic bowl from the Dollar Tree and use the same painting technique that I'm about to do and make a plastic bowl look like a wooden bowl. As you see I'm doing here, my first step would be to paint the entire bowl with a coat of white chalk paint. Then after that's dry, I use a baby wipe and the Waverly Antique Wax. I'm going to put that antique wax all over the bowl. I let that first coat dry, and then I use a brush to dry brush some more antiquing wax over to give more of a wood grain effect. I gave it a quick dry with my hair dryer to make sure the antique wax was finished drying, and then I filled my new wooden bowl with my little pumpkin filler. And it looks like black is back in for fall again this year at Kirkland's because they had this jar of wheat, which looks really chic and nice, but they wanted $16.99 for this simple arrangement. If you don't already have a jar that would do already in your stash, one trip to Goodwill will probably solve that problem. I was able to find this jar that I actually won't be using the lid. It was only $3 and some change. All I'm going to do is paint it up black, but the trick here, and this is an awesome tip, if you're ever going to be painting something black and you want it a matte black and you only want to use one coat, get the chalkboard paint from the Dollar General store. Not chalk paint, chalkboard paint. This stuff is amazing. It stuck to this ceramic jar so well, and it truly only took one coat to give it good coverage. And wouldn't you know, they have the perfect wheat stems at the Dollar Tree, and I used 4 of them. So you'll have to let me know down in the comment box below which one of these Kirkland's dupes was your favorite and if you're going to try to recreate any of them. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. If you want to see another video from me, click the link that I provided for you right here, and I'll see you next time. Bye!